Alrighty, this is Xbox Game Pass Reviews, and in this video I'll be recapping the 20 episodes in Season 1 of Xbox Game Pass Reviews. To start, let's talk about what Xbox Game Pass Reviews is exactly. Well, simply put, I play games from the Xbox Game Pass either from Core, Standard, Ultimate, or EA Play. If the Xbox Game Pass allows for free access, then it's free game for this series. Where the review part comes in is that I have to play each game for at least an hour and then give a score 1 through 10. That score is primarily drawn from gameplay itself, but then the second most important thing is story. After that, the graphics are the third most important thing. Then lastly, I take into consideration the game direction, the voice acting, and the overall game design, which is anywhere from style to pacing or progression. Before diving in, let's list the 20 games I played in Season 1 in order, beginning with The First Descendants for Episode 1. Episode 2, I played Still Wakes the Deep. Episode 3, I played Doom 1993. Episode 4, I played Firewatch. Episode 5, I played Skate 3. Episode 6, I played Power Wash Simulator. Episode 7, I played House Flipper. Episode 8, I played Call of the Wild The Angler. Episode 9, I played Grounded. Episode 10, I played Hi-Fi Rush. Episode 11, I played Call of the Wild The Hunter. Episode 12, I played Callisto Protocol. Episode 13, I played The Outer Worlds. Episode 14, I played The Road 96. Episode 15, I played Atomfall. Episode 16, I played Sniper Elite Resistance. Episode 17, I played Generation Zero. Episode 18, I played Avowed. Episode 19, I played The Stalker 2. And episode 20, I played Control. Getting into the heart of the video, let's start with the complete breakdown of the top 5 worst games in Season 1. Starting with number 5, Atomfall, which I rated a 6.2 out of 10. The gameplay is clunky and severely lacking, making the game unnecessarily difficult to get used to and not very enjoyable as you progress through the game. The story is also a slow burn. With a little over an hour of playing time, I didn't see many signs of life from the story, which leads to game direction. It's slow, very slow, and almost non-existent early on, where progressing further at times is a struggle due to the slow movement and large scale of the map. The graphics are lacking as well for a newer game, appearing flat and less detailed than some games from over a decade ago, which makes it fall into spot 16 on the list, ranking in at number 5 for the worst games on the list. Number 4, Sniper Elite Resistance, which I rated a 6.2 out of 10. This game is clunky as well, with a limited range of movement and a very slow-paced combat system. Guns aren't great, there are too many enemies, and the biggest issue is that you have an endless line of real players ready to join your game and kill you over and over when you're simply wishing to play a story-based game. Beyond that, the graphics limit the story, and the terrible game design do not help in the slightest, but it is far from the worst game on this list, which is why its score places it at spot number 4. Number 3, Hi-Fi Rush, which I rated a 6.1 out of 10. This game is definitely a very niche style, where it is based on rhythm. This rhythm game title has a strange combat and has strange platformer style level design. It has linear progression and is solely focused on story alone with poor gameplay performance. The combat is limited for most of the game, and the bosses are ridiculously difficult to beat due to their time strain and overall difficult level design. The only thing that saves this game is the graphics and the quirkiness of the characters that are voiced by great voice actors. This game barely missed getting dropped down in rating because of this, but even if it had, it still would have been held to the third worst game on the list. Number 2, Doom 1993, which I rated a 5.5 out of 10. Honestly speaking, compared to the standards of today, this should be the bottom of the barrel on any list. But due to me relaxing the rating due to the time of release, this only came out to be the second worst on the list. However, with that said, the story is non-existent, the gameplay is awful, but it is actually still quite fun to play this retro shooter title, due to the spirit and life of it being the staple of gaming still to this day. Lastly, number 1. Power Wash Simulator, which I rated a 5 out of 10. This game is definitely the worst game on the list. It is very boring and has absolutely no depth to it. House Flipper at least has the ability to buy and flip houses, but this as a simulator game is simply pick a job, do the job, get paid, and use the money to unlock more attachments that aren't required to progress further into the game. They only make it slightly easier in the future. It's a boring game, simply put, but the graphics are actually pretty good, and the gameplay isn't terrible with functions designed to help you spot dirt that you've missed starting from the very first job, unlike in House Flipper where this is a function that you must unlock. Not much saves this game, as it is genuinely not much of a game. However, it is well made to say the least. Now that you've heard the worst, it's time for the best. These are the top 5 games from Season 1 of Xbox Game Pass Reviews. Starting with number 5, Still Wakes the Deep, which I rated a 7.7 out of 10. This game has an incredible story, one that has earned it the number 5 spot. The game has one of the best stories, if not the best, on the list. An incredible level of story combined with gameplay that allows for a genuine struggle for survival. This story progression and level building is well put together to allow for a feeling of pathfinding that keeps you in suspense around every corner. The only thing limiting this game is the linear progression and the allowance of a weapon or means to fight back. This changes the dynamic and makes the game more niche, as it affects the way you must play to progress throughout the story, as well as makes simple areas take longer to clear. Number 4, Grounded, which I rated an 8 out of 10. This is the perfect game to be in the 4th position on this list. The absolute incredible gameplay, the character voice quips, the backstory, and the general game direction is near perfect, leaving little to be desired for the progression and storytelling. An absolute peak of a survival game, absolutely incredible, perfectly placed at spot number 4. Number 3, Firewatch, which I rated an 8 out of 10. Firewatch has a beautiful story, one that is told so perfectly that it keeps you guessing at every point, leading to a massive number of plot twists and suspenseful moments that are just perfect. The gameplay leaves little to be desired as well, but further freedom and less linear progression throughout the story would have made for a much better game. The graphics are great too, although they are a bit cartoonish at times, especially when it comes to the characters. The voice acting is also something to consider, as it is some of the best, if not the best, on the list. Simply put, this is a perfect game to take the number 3 spot, as well as an incredible story that makes up for most of the shortcomings in any field, which allow for it to claim an 8 out of 10, as well as be placed above Grounded, its sibling in ranking. Number 2, Avowed, which I rated an 8.1 out of 10. This game has an excellent story based on what I've seen. The world building from the beginning is great and only continues to become more incredible throughout the story. The graphics are also in the top 5 on this list and are some of the best on the market as of now. The gameplay is very well suited to the game, but the time to kill is very slow at the start and the level progression is a very slow burn. This is definitely a lengthy title, so for those wishing to steer clear of a 20+ hour game, this isn't for you. However, the story is great, the gameplay is solid, the graphics are peak, and the overall game design is very well put together, resulting in a decent package for an RPG title. Number 1, the Callisto Protocol, which I rated an 8.4 out of 10. The story is incredible, with many plot twists and surprise elements throughout. The gameplay is very well suited to the story as well, with the story progression coming in tandem with consistent upgrades to the combat system, steadily adding in new elements for a very stable and consistent difficulty, even with the enemy difficulty increasing as the game progresses. The game is fairly difficult because of this, but it has the perfect abilities to adjust for the difficult combat as the story progresses. The bosses are also well designed around these elements. Though they're very difficult to beat, they do challenge you into using everything at your disposal to win, including the terrain. This is all of course topped off with some of the best graphics on the market as of the time of release, as well as the top 5 best graphics on the list. The final note I'd like to make is that the voice acting is the absolute cherry on top. The emotions, the face capture, and overall atmosphere their energy brings is just perfect. Now for the middle ground. Let's quickly break down number 6 through number 15. To begin, number 15, The Stalker 2, which I rated a 6.3 out of 10. This game is slightly better than Atomfall when it comes to the post-apocalyptic vibe. The gameplay is just as clunky, if not more so, but the story is immediately better. The graphics are pretty crisp as well, which helps make up for it a bit. It also gives me Metro 2033 vibes for sure, and is actually quite a decent game. Number 14, The Road 96, which I rated a 6.4 out of 10. The gameplay is severely lacking. It's very linear, and the choices aren't very relaxed. There are situations that are very avoidable, but are locked in place, giving you no option to flee before the encounter. However, the story is absolutely incredible and makes up for this poor gameplay. The voices are also hit or miss, but overall the game isn't horrible and very enjoyable to play for me personally. But from a legitimate rating standpoint, I have to rate it lower due to the poor gameplay. Number 13, The First Descendants, which I rated a 6.8 out of 10. The gameplay isn't terrible, with leveling and systems taken directly from Destiny. The graphics are also highly polished, but there's a lack of a story, almost like it was an afterthought, as well as the story is mildly linear, with not many side missions upon release. The game is online dependent as well, which is something to note for sure, but it is a rather easy game for the fairly casual gamer. Number 12, Call of the Wild: The Angler, which I rated a 7.1 out of 10. The only things to say about this game is that the view is excellent. The graphics and gameplay are finely tuned to perfectly suit the game style, and it just works. It's also packed with some of the greatest voice acting on this list, and it is just an overall great vibe of a game. Number 11, House Flipper, which I rated a 7.25 out of 10. Simply put, this is a very fun and enjoyable gameplay experience that has decent graphics for a simulator game. It's well designed and is simply a very easy and enjoyable game. Number 10, Skate 3, which I rated a 7.3 out of 10. This has an interesting gameplay experience that has a surprisingly decent story and decent graphics for the time. With that said, many of the missions are very difficult, and the design makes many of the tricks nearly impossible to pull off. This game simply isn't for everyone, but it can be quite enjoyable at times and near monitor shattering at others. Number 9, Call of the Wild: The Hunter, which I rated a 7.35 out of 10. The gameplay is very well designed. The graphics are great, and it has an overall excellent atmosphere from a fun simulator title. Once again, the voice acting from the Call of the Wild series is incredible. Definitely would play this again and might sometime soon. Number 8, Generation Zero, which I rated a 7.4 out of 10. The gameplay is pretty decent and goes very well with the story. This is actually a pretty decent game, considering the solid graphics and well put together game design. However, the character models and the voice acting is slightly lacking. Mainly, the low rating is due to the game requiring multiple people for boss fights and large skirmishes due to the low damage output, which makes it less desirable to attempt alone. Number 7, Control, which I rated a 7.6 out of 10. Based on what I've played, the story has a lot of potential to be top 5 on the list. The gameplay is also unique and fun. The graphics are great, and it definitely seems to be going somewhere great with the game direction. And then lastly, the voice acting and facial capture is also excellent. Definitely a solid title. Lastly, the game that very nearly missed reaching the top 5, number 6, The Outer Worlds, which I rated a 7.65 out of 10. This is a very good, nearly great RPG title, which falls just short because of the limited story elements in the beginning, the limited graphics due to the steampunk vibe, and the sloppy gameplay progression from low damage weapons in the beginning. Overall, slow burn of a game, but has great bones and great potential for someone willing to put in dozens of hours to complete this title. With that, this brings Season 1 of Xbox Game Pass Reviews to a close. This season has been a lot of fun. But it doesn't stop here. I'll begin Season 2 right away, where it'll soon be on YouTube following this video. To wrap this up, let me know what you thought about my rankings in the comments. Let me know if you'll be picking up any of these games in the future, or if you chose to steer clear of any on the list because of my review. Anyways, thanks for watching and enjoying Season 1 alongside me. On to Season 2, and as always, deuces.